Good day, everybody, and welcome to Ken's Show and Tell, this 13th video on recommissioning my 1959 Mercedes Benz 220S W180 chassis Ponton body style. All right, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you see what I'm into now. I removed this instrument cluster. I'm going to do a little backtracking here and show you what I have done. I searched and searched and searched, even the International Ponton Owners Group, about how to remove this instrument cluster. I did find some information, but boy, was it sketchy, and most of the time it was written by someone who hadn't done it or is trying to recollect or has worked on a cabriolet but never on a sedan, and blah blah blah. And so this is what you've got to do. Let me just show you from the beginning. First of all, there is access behind this plate, and here's the firewall right here, and then right up through there where my finger is pointing, up through there is the hole where the instrument cluster came out of. Now the first thing you have to do is disconnect two springs. One spring excuse me, one spring hooks in right here, another spring hooks in here. Let me show you what those springs look like. And here they are. Here's one of them right here. Let's see if I can get it focused on. Here's one of them right here. Okay, and here's the other one right here. And you can see the hooks on the end. That hook on the end there, well, it fits into those little pieces sticking up from the actual body of the car. Now, the next thing you have to do is unhook this oil line. All right, and it's right here. So when your line is connected, it comes through the other side of your instrument cluster and connects into this junction right here, and this is the oil line for your oil pressure gauge. And just grasp it with a small little wrench. I forget what it is, 8mm, 10mm. This likes 10. The other one I think is maybe 8 or 9. And it's like a connection here, a compression connection. You undo this part, and then that allows you to release this from the back of the instrument cluster. And that's a hell of a lot easier than coming in here and then undoing it from down here, which is where it goes into the oil filter top, and or trying to undo it from the back of the instrument cluster, or taking that particular gauge out, which you can't do. So this completely releases it. The next thing you need to do is release the speedometer cable, which is right here. Now in my car, and this would be true with all of them, this is a compression fitting that goes on the other end, and I'll show you where it goes on. And here's your actual cable. Here's your actual cable right here that spins, and there's a knurled knob you can undo, but mine came undone from where this compression thing fits into that cable sleeve. Let me show you what that looks like. All right, here's a good shot of the two springs on either side of the cable sleeve, and here's the knurled knob everybody talks about undoing and pulling that thing out. But I'm telling you, for me it was a lot easier just to pull it loose from that compression fitting, and it will fit back up in there pretty snugly. And then once you get those springs released, number one. Number two, for me, it was just undoing the oil line. You see there, see right there is the oil line coming into the oil gauge, so that's released. And then that cable thing's released for the speedometer. And I thought I was home free until I discovered and I realized there's a separate, see right here, DM, that's your trip meter. There's a separate reset cable for that goes into the back of this thing. And there it is right there, a little gray cable right back underneath that electrical cable there. And the problem is that thing goes into the dashboard. See how it goes into the back of the instrument cluster, and then it goes down into a hole into this side and goes under the dash. Now my cable's in there, and this is as far out as I can get this cluster. I can't get it out any further. Also, you need to release the electrical connection to this cluster, and here it is. Need to release it with these two screws here on the end, and you can do that from inside there. And so this is as far out as I can get it, but this is good enough for me because I'm in the process of checking all the bulbs in this instrument cluster, replacing them, cleaning the connections, and putting in a new, to me, temperature gauge down there. My old one doesn't work. The new one I got from HMC is I've tested it, he tested it, and I tested it myself, and it is true to a known thermometer. So I'm in the process now of removing light bulbs out of this thing and then cleaning them up. Let me show you what I'm up to. Okay, right now I'm focusing on whatever lights are right here, and here's the connection. Let me get right here to the back so you can see it. And each one of these lovely little, I think there's a copper, I'm not quite sure, it could be brass, contains a light bulb. So I'm pulling each one out and cleaning them up, and one at a time. And this is a lovely little gate that swings over right here and connects to these things, but I'm cleaning all this up because none of my lights work. So I'm hoping it's something simple as just making a bad connection. Oh, by the way, here's where that cable comes in for the trip meter that's embedded in here. And now it's caught. Can't get through the hole here. Anyway, so that's something else to remedy if indeed I can. So let's go back to the workbench and work on these bulbs one at a time. I have this 12-volt battery here, and here's my test light. It's 12 volts as well. And so let's just make sure it's working. Touch it to here, touch it to the other alligator clamp, and there we go. We got nice 12 volts on my test light. Good. All right, now we can just set this aside because that's been tested. Now, here is one that I've cleaned up. I tested the bulb, cleaned everything up, deoxit as well hit the wheel. And let me show you what I'm doing. So here's the positive, or the power side, and then when I touch the side, I'm grounding it. So you see, it works fine. All right. So what I'm going to do now is go in there and pull out another bulb and reinsert this one. And we'll give it a spray of deoxit inside the bulb hole. And here's the next one we're going to pull out and clean. Let's take it to the workbench. Take it out. We'll test the bulb first. Okay, the first thing to do is just test the whole thing together here. The other one, when I did it, it didn't work until I cleaned it up. Let's just see. See, that's not work. Oh, so it's trying to work. Okay, that's a good sign. So let's clean this rascal up. Take the bulb out of here. It's a bayonet fit, so you just push down and pull it out. And just look at how well these things are constructed. They're just beautiful, like everything on this car. All right, so let's carefully kind of knock the corrosion off of this bulb here. And that's nice and shiny. And now let's carefully clean this. Okay, a little deoxit in here. Put the bulb back in. Doesn't really matter orientation because you see the bayonet themselves are the equal length. The single filament bulb anyway. Push it down, push it in, pull it back out, work it a little bit. Okay. Clean this up. Now, keep our fingers crossed. Positive. Ground. Oh yeah, see how much easier that is to work? The contact's clean. So we're just going to do that. to the other bulb too. In fact, all the ones we can get out, we'll do that. We'll just insert this back in the car. Little deoxant. And the next one to be cleaned. Okay, so the main thing I'm interested in is the contacts, these pieces here onto the backs of onto these things. Okay. Little emery cloth. Oh yeah, I can reach those. Just be careful with it. Everything is yeah, I can see the corrosion coming off of that. Oh yeah, I see it shine. All right, now let's put this bulb back in. Okay, now let's push these things down. Give them some more tension. Okay, now we can just put them up on their contacts, and then this neat little bail here pulls everything back down. Look at this. Watch this. Yeah, now that is good contact. All right. And then the next one I see, here's a light right over here. So we'll tackle that one next. See this right here? Let's just go ahead and see about pulling that out. See, it's on a spring. So it looks like you lift it up and pull it out of the way. I don't want to break anything. Or is it this way? No, I'm going to go this way. There we go. It just hadn't been moved in decades. And just look at that damn thing. Look at that spring in there. Wow. Okay. Then this must be the light bulb right here. Pull it out. Oh, it's tight. Just get that squirt. And I know this is deoxit, but I want to just see about that thing right there. Okay. Now I come back with a screwdriver. And I think what's going on here is that this is stuck. This right here is stuck to the base. This thing is really stuck in there. So I've been prying on it. And I can see it wanting to come out. Just gently, gently, gently. Yeah, you kind of, there it comes. Whoa. All right, you can see the corrosion and stuff that's on there. Wow. I tell you what. Get that a little better. Right here on the inside of this. Okay. And people wonder why it takes so long putting one of these old cars back together or getting one that's needs recommissioning. You know, all these little things that have been overlooked through the years, even in a so-called decent restoration. A lot of things get overlooked. Here it is, all cleaned up, nice and shiny. Oh, here's the other clip. All right, here we go. That was, now that's better. Because this is on directly on the base, but this right here is touching the actual bulb. But I want to just touch the base because this is how it works. See? there it is, all clean and shiny. This time, instead of sticking, it just snapped right in like it's supposed to. And this cap is nice and clean on top of it. So now let's turn our attention down to this end of the instrument cluster and do those lights as well. Fast forward a few days and you can see I got the instrument cluster out and apart. But let's do a little backtracking and I'll try to explain to you what I had done and what I've yet to do and what I found. That's what your instrument cluster hole looks like from the inside of the car. You can see it's going way back there in the engine compartment. You can see through there, and there you go. I recommend putting a white towel on here to protect your steering column. Let me show you what else. And if you remember, this instrument cluster was stuck in here because I couldn't get that out. That hole right over there on the dash, that is the trip meter reset, but I figured out how to get it. Well, look at the wreckage there. And what this is that little cubby hole to the left of your steering wheel where you can store things. And here's the little tray, the metal tray. The metal tray fits back in there like that. And once you get this door loosened right here with these screws here and 2 screws over here on the hinge side on the floor here, once you get those loosened, then this door will drop down some more, will allow you to just pull that metal thing out of there. See, there's one of the things about this car, which is really different from all the other Mercedes I have, is all these compartments are separated. They're in their, see back in there, they're sort of in their own little cubby hole like thing. Anyway, and so this upper part right here is separated from the bottom part by this sheet metal. Now I can see nuts there to allow you to take off the bottom part of the wood. I can see that now, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that, but if I do, I know how to do that now. But here you go. Here's what it looks like behind that little storage compartment. And here's some of your switches right here. And then this wiring has been hacked up. Look how this has been hacked into. This right here has been hacked into. And I think all this hacking has been for that damn modern radio that somebody just had to have in here. If you look back in here, I'm gonna stick my hand in this hole. Hopefully you can see. There's a hole right there where my finger is pointing, right up there. And that's the hole that trip meter cable has to come through. But in order to get that come through, you have to see it. In order to and you have to stick your hand in the bottom here and reach way. See how back you can reach way back into the bowels of this thing and line it up and get it out. However, it has a big nut on the end, which you have to take off first, or it won't fit through that hole. Now let's come in from the passenger's front. Here's connections made for the radio. This block is here because this wiring harness was cut in two right here to make this connection to get the radio to work. And oh man, I wish people would just, anyway, here we go. And so I have to decide, none of this stuff over here works. So I have to decide if all these connections are viable or not, and then go from there. But I think I did find, at least in part, why the instrument cluster lights aren't working. And so let me just show you that over here on the workbench. Well, here we are back at working on the instrument cluster. Here's the face for the speedometer. Here's the face for the whole cluster. Here's the chrome bezel. Here's the glass there. Instruments taken out. They are lovely. This works fine. The construction of these things are just incredibly beautiful. And the coiled wire there and a field around that. And this is to measure resistance and to tell you how much fuel you have in your tank. It's just a lovely, lovely piece of work. All handmade at VDO factory in Germany. So we'll be putting all this back together and cleaning it up as we go, and so I'll just kind of show you what we've done. Now, right here, let me see if I can get the right angle on here. Right here is the burned wire I found. And I've just resoldered it back into its whole connection. And these right here are for the fuel gauge. And this brown wire, I think, is the common ground for everything. And it's upside down now, but I think you can figure that out. Here's your pointer for your speedometer. And let's go ahead and be kind of putting this thing back together, and we'll clean it up as we go. But I have this wired to the ground, and let's go through and test these lights. All right, here's one test. All right, we'll touch another bulb. Okay, touch another bulb. Very good. I got all the lights functioning, and of course resoldered that wire, and I've got this instrument cluster reassembled. Turn it over. There you go. Put a light on it. Okay. Now I'll wait till I'm putting this back in the car before I put the temperature gauge back in. But looks really nice. I know all the lights and everything work.